What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the German Barrel Podcast. And today is the day the final mock draft of the 2022 NFL offseason will be coming up for you guys. It's been a fun time going into the draft, grinding on all of these draft prospects and finding out who these guys are. And today will be the last mock draft, like I said, of this offseason. I will give you the guys I think the Bears will ultimately go with. And I'm super excited. The draft will be coming up in the next couple of days, so stay tuned for a lot of draft content afterwards. And yeah, let's get right into it and talk about the draft needs first. The Bears still got a lot of needs. Since my last mock draft, they did add some players like David Moore, most notably, and cornerback Greg Stroman, but at the end of the day, nothing changed on the needs side for me. We still need to protect Justin Fields. We still need to give him weapons because he needs to develop in year two. And that's why offensive line and wide receiver is still the biggest need for me. Then outside cornerback number 2 spot is not secured as well. Linebacker depth is needed at all times. Why not get Roquan Smith a partner for years to come? And then we still are looking for that 3 tack, even though I don't know if you want to take someone in this year's draft because we got Justin Jones. And yes, it would be nice to get another talented player at that position, but we only have a limited draft capital to work with, so we have to get the most out of it, and we can't address every need. So with that being said, let's get right into the draft. And with the 39th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Christian Watson, wide receiver, North Dakota State. I took Watson in my first mock as well, and the thing with him is it's always between George Pickens and Christian Watson at that pick for me. But right now, George Pickens is getting a lot of first-round buzz, and I'm not sure if George Pickens will be available at 39. The more realistic pick for me at that spot right now seems to be Christian Watson, and in general, I think I'm a bit higher on Christian Watson than on George Pickens. Watson is 6'4", 208 pounds, and is a big-bodied receiver who just perfectly fits the Bears. He's blazing fast, got amazing hands, good route running, especially at the Senior Bowl he showed out. And that also put away the questions about his competition because, yes, he played at a lower level, even though we have to say North Dakota State produces NFL talent all the time. But still, lower competition, worse cornerbacks to play against. But when he played at the Senior Bowl, he faced the best competition there is in the country, and he produced. He was the best wide receiver there, showed that he catches everything thrown his way, showed good route running, even though his route tree was limited, and that's something he has to adjust on into the NFL. But I think with a good wide receiver coach, and I brought Tyke Tolbert up, I think, in every mock draft right now, but Tyke Tolbert is such a great wide receivers coach. He helped so many young wide receivers to develop over his years in the NFL. He made them Pro Bowlers, he made them All Pros, and I think he can really help Christian Watson to develop fast and be productive in the Bears offense quickly. He would be the perfect addition to the offense and give Justin Fields and Luke Getsy a weapon to work with. The offense would look way much better with Christian Watson here, and I think at pick number 39, if he's available, he is the pick to go with. He is such a talented player with such a high upside, running a 4.36 40 time, which was so insane, and you see that on tape as well. And also, after the catch, that's something we have always missed with Allen Robinson. Christian Watson has the ability to make some yards after the catch. He is shifty, even though he is 6'4". He can really move fast and make sharp cuts, and I would be so excited for this guy to be here. He's still got some areas for improvement, like expanding his route tree or catching 50-50 balls more constantly, but I think those are areas of his game that he can definitely work on and get better on fast. So moving on to the next pick in the second round, with the 48th pick, we got a trade alert. The Chicago Bears want to trade down, and a partner has been found. The Denver Broncos traded away a lot of picks already this offseason, but they acquired Russell Wilson. They got Nathaniel Hackett, and they really stacked up on the offensive side of the ball. And with Russell Wilson now, the Broncos have a Super Bowl window. Their Super Bowl window has been opened, and they are trying to improve quickly, so they decided to trade up with the Chicago Bears, acquire pick number 48, and we, in exchange, get pick number 64, 96, and 116, which would be an absolutely amazing deal. I don't know if that could go through exactly like that. Maybe we have to add a next year's 5th, 6th, 7th round pick. I don't know, but it's a big jump, so it could be potentially realistic. So now the next pick is number 64. And moving on with the 64th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Dylan Parham, interior offensive lineman from Memphis. Parham is one of my absolute favorite offensive line prospects in this year's draft class. I talked about him in the online episode where I went over several guys, and that video is already a couple of months ago. And I think he offers so many great things for the Bears offense. He would be an instant starter. He's 6'3", 311 pounds, and it's just so fast. It's unbelievable. The guy ran a 4.93 40 time, which is absolutely amazing, and you see that on tape as well. They ran a lot of screens at Memphis, and as soon as he was pulling out, you knew he was going to blow somebody up. He was fast out there, really strong hands, good placement. The guy has excellent footwork, great hips. He's a mover. He's intelligent, and he got the ability to anchor. Like the pro list goes on and on and on with him. I think he's an absolutely amazing prospect, and I would love him on the Bears so much. And the thing with him is as well, he displays versatility. He won't be able to play tackle in the NFL. He's too undersized for that. He did that at Memphis, but he can offer guard play and center play. He did that at the Senior Bowl, tried it, and really excelled at it and did pretty well, in my opinion. So there you go. You have a guy that you can put at guard, put at center, and then right now at center, you have Lucas Patrick who can play both spots as well. So you have versatility. You can really figure out in training camp who you want to start where. And I think with Dylan Parham, you get an excellent steal later in the second round. With the 71st pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Zach Tom, tackle Wake Forest. The Chicago Bears double dip on offensive line and acquire a super highly talented tackle in Zach Tom. Zach Tom is only 6'4", 304 pounds, and that's probably his only con that you can really bring up right now, or his biggest con at least. He is a bit undersized for tackle. But what he also does bring is experience at the center position. So I wouldn't exactly put him at center, but if he's not fitting tackle for you in the NFL, if you don't like him there, you can at least try him inside, put him at guard, and figure it out that way. Because Cody Whitehair will be gone potentially after this season. I don't know. And then you have Zach Tom, Lucas Patrick, and Dylan Parham, which would be a great trio in the middle. But I've read a lot of reports. I looked at this tape, and if you look at Zach Tom, I think even though he is undersized at 6'4", 304 pounds, he still could survive at tackle in the NFL. He played left tackle at Forest and was, I think, a 3 or 4 year starter. He played 34 games and started them at Wake Forest. He is blazing fast, 4.9, 4.40, which is amazing for him. And when you look at this tape, this guy just has the ability to mirror people. And that's why a lot of scouts think he can still survive in the NFL at tackle, because he can shadow those guys. You can't really get around him because he's so quick with his feet. He's super intelligent. He makes fluid block adjustments in space. He's just quick out there, pulls fast, and I mean, the guy is just amazing. He's climbing up draft rankings right now, and I think if you can really get him at 71, you have to go there. You want to stack up the offense, and with getting 2 offensive linemen immediately in the earlier rounds and 2 guys that could potentially start right away, I think you're off to a great start in this NFL draft. Zach Tom would be an absolute amazing pickup for me. I think, like I said, you have to look out for what you want to tackle. Ryan Poles wants more athletic and lighter offensive lineman. Zach Tom is that kind of guy, and I think he could potentially fit the Bears offense very well. You just have to figure out in training camp, like with Dylan Parham, where you want to exactly put him, but I think at 71 this would be an absolutely amazing pickup. With the 96th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Chann Tindall, linebacker from Georgia. I talked about Tindall in my last mock draft as well, and it selected him at pick number 71, but he's somewhat climbing down draft ladders right now, and I can only imagine it's because of other players climbing up the draft ladder. So Chann Tindall is somewhat of a faller in the last couple of weeks, and I think if you can get him at 96, this is such an incredible steal. Tindall is one of my favorite players in this year's draft class. He's 6'2", 230 pounds, and He's just so good. I mean, the guy is highly athletic, offers so many amazing tools that you can work with. He has good size, elite speed, sideline to sideline speed, and at pick number 96, you have the ability to pair Roquan Smith up with another linebacker that could potentially be there for years to come, build a force in the middle of the defense. Why not? I don't think I have to explain too much about Chann Tindall. He needs to get better in coverage. He's already a pretty good tackler and makes great run fits. So I think Chann Tindall, like I said, at 96 would be an absolute steal. I would love him there. With the 116th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Kyle Phillips, wide receiver from UCLA. And Kyle Phillips might be a controversial pick here, but I think in my opinion he's a highly talented player. The Bears go with an offensive player for the fourth time within 5 picks, and I don't think that's a bad idea. I mean, you got to get Justin Fields some weapons, and Kyle Phillips is a player that has a lot of special traits that you can add to that Bears offense. The most important thing with Kyle Phillips is he is no outside wide receiver. He is a pure slot receiver. That's why he will fall. But the guy is 5'11", 189 pounds, runs a 4.58 40. So a lot of things that people would probably go away from. But the guy is such an amazing player in the slot. He has, for me, basically elite route running, amazing footwork, sharp cuts, and incredible hands. He's somewhat of a, like if you have to compare him, he gets compared a lot with Hunter Renfrow. And if you get a Hunter Renfrow with the 116th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, I think you're happy with that. He is a touchdown machine. He knows how to get open. He catches everything. He would be the perfect security blanket for Justin Fields. And if you can get him in round 4, this would be an absolute steal. The guy destroyed at the Shrine Bowl, and I mean, I would be so happy with getting Christian Watson at 39. At 116, you get Kyle Phillips. I think you have 2 amazing wide receivers that will have an impact early on in their careers, and it will, most importantly, help Justin Fields. Moving on to the 5th round, with the 148th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select a Caleb Evans, cornerback from Missouri. That's the same guy I went with like in my mock draft 2.0, and Evans is a 6'2", 200-pound physical gifted athlete that would fit the Bears defense perfectly. He's more of a long-term project. He's not refined yet, especially with his technique. Sometimes he's too lazy to backpedal and does some weird stuff on field, but the guy has fast reactions, good hands, and just is super talented on the field. He's great in the run game. Great tackler as well, one of the better tacklers I saw in this year's draft class from the cornerback position. And I mean, he can be a special teams contributor right away. And with the potential veteran that the Bears might bring in through free agency, he could eventually take over the cornerback 2 spot at some point this year or next year, or at least challenge Thomas Graham Jr. You get a player that has a lot of upside, and you got to take some risks in round 5. With the 150th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select J.T. Woods, safety out of Baylor. Woods is a 6'2", 195-pound safety and would be a player that could have an impact pretty early in his career. He's highly athletic, running a 4.36 40 time, and brings a lot of talents. Like I said, he's a lengthy physical athlete that is super fast, and he showed a lot of promising things at Baylor. His tackling is good, and he can really lay the wood, and he's also pretty talented in coverage and show good understanding for the game oftentimes. Negatives for him, he can be stiff when flipping his hips, and he could improve with finishing tackles. Sometimes you see him just jumping into guys and wanting to make a highlight tackle, but at times he should just stick to wrapping up guys and make a secure tackle. But hey, in round 5, you're getting a guy that has a lot of talent and could potentially be a safety in the long run for the Bears next to Eddie Jackson. We need some safety help, and he's that Deion Bush replacement, but a bit better, I would say. I'm excited if he gets drafted by the Bears, and I think he would be a great pickup with the pick number 150. And with the last pick in the 2022 NFL Draft for the Bears, with the 186th pick in the 2022 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select running back Zaquandre White from South Carolina. White is a very talented running back in my opinion that displayed a lot of great things at South Carolina but was underused. He's 6 foot, 206 pounds, so a great size for a running back, and is a very explosive and athletic runner. He's able to make sharp cuts, good reads, and also is pretty good in the backfield as well. And when we look at the running back situation for the Bears right now, we only got David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert, so we need a third guy, and that's a guy that you can develop that brings a lot of great tools. And if he gets developed correctly, and we have to be realistic, if David Montgomery doesn't have a good year for the Bears, he potentially won't be retained by Ryan Poles because he doesn't have that connection with him anyways. And most of the time, you don't want to pay running backs, even though it sounds pretty harsh. And if you develop White correctly, he could at least be a backup for Khalil Herbert in the future, or even take over the running back one spot because he is that talented. He is good in the run game. He is also pretty talented in the pass game, so a all-around good talent that you can get in round number 6 potentially that could have in special teams or impact early on, I think, and maybe you can implement him into the offense with some special trick plays kind of stuff, but I think that will be a good pick to round up that draft. And yeah, guys, that in fact wraps up the draft. I think in general it's a pretty good one. You acquire 3 picks and only give up 1. You get 2 very good offensive linemen that could be instant starters. Christian Watson is a top wide receiver in this year's draft class, and his ceiling is so high, it's unbelievable. Then you have Kyle Phillips, a slot wide receiver who displays a lot of talent. Chann Tindall, a potential starting linebacker for years to come. And then some developmental guys in Caleb Evans, JT Woods, and Trey White, who you can develop over some years and potentially have an impact on special teams right away as well. So this is the mock I will go with for this year's 2022 NFL Draft. I'm so excited for this one. It will probably be horribly wrong, but I don't care. It was so much fun going into these prospects. Like I've mentioned at the beginning of the video, stay tuned for a lot of draft content. I will react on every pick and stuff that will happen, some potential trades. And yeah, guys, that wraps up the episode. I hope you've enjoyed this one. Like and subscribe if you liked the video. Check out Instagram for the latest news. And as always, guys, bear down.